Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. I'm sorry I could not get Shashwat to come in on Sunday evening to have a conversation with us. My boy is busy in Bangalore. Rightfully so, he should be, considering that he's a young lad and he's in Bangalore. He shouldn't be stuck sitting in a hotel room recording a video with his uncle. I'll try and bring him in for a conversation further down into the week before he heads back to college to finish out his degree. But that said, there's an old saying which very famous, which my dad used to try and reinforce in me and my brother, which is don't fix something which is not broken. Why am I talking about this on a Sunday evening? Well, there's an interesting news that broke out that Adrian, the CEO of Jaguar Land Rover, has resigned and he's taking early retirement. And that made some interesting news. The man who ditched the iconic Jaguar logo and took the bold step to take Jaguar in a new direction, to go fully electric, to sell fully electric Jaguar cars priced at almost £100,000 by 2026, has suddenly taken a turn towards retirement. And he took over the company right at a time when the previous boss, Thierry Bolloré, resigned because of all the losses. Now he's gone out, Adrian, and this leaves Jaguar at a very critical time. So let's kind of trace back to see what happened. November 2023, they debuted a new ad, Jaguar, with no cars, a logo, without the leaping cat, saying something new is coming. At the time itself, the public and many fans who have been waiting for this new bold move by Jaguar suddenly saw this and said, where is the Jaguar in Jaguar? Because that iconic logo is the leaping Jaguar. So this intent to reposition Jaguar as an ultra minimalist avant-garde was to think more like Bentley and less like BMW. The problem for him is Jaguar has a certain market placement, a market share, and it kind of moved away from that, and it was diving into a market space where it had no presence at all. They left the staples of their fans, which believed in the brand being the leaping Jaguar, that iconic brand. They abandoned them and pivoted into trying to get into a new market space. You know, people do this, brands do this, even music artists do this. You know, a rock band getting into pop or disco, or a disco trying to get into, reggae. This thing happens through history, abandoning their fan base and trying to get into a new marketplace, saying creativity. But some artists saying, being artists, they say they should have the freedom to do this. So there's a kind of intent which was behind what Jaguar did. It didn't go well. It landed actually quite badly. 2026, Jaguar is supposed to go fully electric. The petrol model is supposed to be slowly winding down in production. They stopped selling new cars in Jaguar now temporarily. So they have abandoned the legacy while trying to play with Tesla, Porsche, Bentley into a territory which they really are not present in, without any current product in the market. His idea was not to compete in volume, but to compete in margins for each car and lead by design exclusivity. And if you're going to go with design exclusivity, you have to be darn sure that you know what you're doing when you're taking a product to a market, to know that your consumers are buying into your dream, into your vision of a product. Didn't happen. Despite all this optimism, JLR has announced 500 volunteer redundancies. That means people being laid off. Q2 sales are down 15%, and due to old Jaguar models being retired, and the Trump era shipment delays, there's further pain down the road for them. So the reality check. Vision is bold, but operation is where the real pain is. You may have some idea, this is just as good as Trump and his idea to bring jobs back and manufacturing back to US. It's a bold vision, you can give him that. It's to bring all the factories back, but to build a factory, to do that kind of capital expense, to train the workers, to create the pipelines and the logistics to do something like this takes years. It just doesn't happen. So many companies have done this in the past. The way HP bought a brand like Compaq, those of you who are younger would not even know, like Albin wouldn't even know what a Compaq is. He would think it's something to do with makeup probably. But Compaq was a computer company which was there in the US, a big brand, a very famous brand, very popular brand at its time with the youth especially, had a great connect, used to give Apple a run for its money, was bought over by HP for the brand value, for the iconic market space it had. What did HP do? It brought it and killed it. So it's been done in history many, many times. So this is something I hope Jaguar team has learned from, and especially the parent company Tata and Sons have learned from, and Tata Motors has learned from. The vote of confidence given behind Chandrasekhar, giving him an extended, giving him a vote of confidence, giving him a second term as Tata Sons chairman, giving him a vote of confidence. I hope whomever he decides to bring into this role has the same kind of confidence as Tata Sons has shown Chandrasekhar, because right now they require someone to reignite the brand, bring it back to course, focus on the basics, and leave all this on the wayside till they restabilize themselves. I do understand electric vehicles is a promising territory. It is something new, and there is a lot of potential there, but they should not abandon a brand which has been built on trust. Usually in the past, when an iconic brand is being reinvented, is when it's already eroded its market presence, it is eroded its brand value. So they try to reignite it by rebranding it, recreating a new buzz around it. But Jaguar Land Rover is not that. It is an iconic brand. It's very old, it's very trusted, it has a certain elegance and a certain place in the imagination of car enthusiasts, and people who buy these kinds of cars usually don't like drastic changes to be done, because that is the reason why you aspire to buy the brand, because of what it stands for. So Jaguar has made a mistake when it comes to this, and it has come in the worst time possible with all this Trump tariffs and what is happening in China in terms of slowdown and the sales slowdown. And it is hitting Tata Motors very hard in their profit lines, because JLR profits were a big part of their revenue stream for Tata Motors, because they're facing pressures domestically in India. This, looking at the pipeline in the future, where the company is also going to split into two, where the truck division goes off separately and the passenger division comes off separately, and with the takeover of the CV business, Iveco, which they've done, spent almost 4 billion on, we have to wait and watch to see. Have I lost faith in the brand? No. Everybody makes a mistake. What is important is we learn from the mistake, and we learn to take corrective remedy and corrective steps towards fixing it. So I do believe the Tata Motors team will get their heads together, the JLR team will get their heads together, and they'll find some way out of this. It is sad to see Adrian, who has spent 35 years in JLR, to take an early retirement the way he had to, but at the same time, it is understandable why. When you take a certain bet and you fail to deliver, then it's time to take ownership and responsibility for it, and allow fresh ideas and fresh things to come in and try and fix what is broken now, which wasn't clearly broken a few years back. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and it gave you some context into what my mindset is thinking about Tata Motors and where it stands. And I would love to hear what you think about the whole Jaguar fiasco. Do you think the worst is behind them? Do you think they will revert back to what they were, or will they continue pursuing this dream of trying to capture a new market space with a new product, with a new brand, and rebuild from there? So put it down in the comments. I would love to read it, and if I manage to get Shashwat, I'll get him also to offer his opinion. He's also a car enthusiast. He also loves the Jaguar brand, and he also is rather disappointed with the brand launch. So wish you a wonderful evening wherever you are. Tomorrow starts the week of August, the first full week where we get to invest in August. Continue doing a different coffee range wherever you're doing in the American markets, Japanese, or the Indian market. Keep it simple. Like I said in the previous video, there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the tariffs and where things stand, because as I'm looking at the graph right now, if you look at the August rate to April 1st rate, there's hardly any movement in the tariffs. Bangladesh is down from 37%, is still at a hovering 20%. Brazil is still at 10%, and now he's talking about 50% on certain products. EU from 20 has come down to 15. India from 26 to 25. Indonesia from 32 to 19. Israel 17 to 15. Japan from 24 to 15. Pakistan from 29 to 19. South Korea from 25 to 15. and Taiwan from 32 to 20, UK is 10-10, and Vietnam from 46 to 20. So if you look at it, there's a lot of tariff still there on the cards. Plus, he's talking about other new tariffs. So there is just really no clarity in where this is going. And till we figure out what it is, I really don't know where the market stands in true earnestness when it comes to what is happening globally. So I would say be careful, and keep it simple. Invest in companies and products and circles of competence. Don't venture out into areas just because you're having FOMO and think there is a quick buck to be made. You might get squashed in the trade. So I would have strongly advise you to refrain from that. And of course, gold is always there. Gold has corrected recently by a bit. So there's a lot of opportunity in gold also. So if you're really confused, you can stick to that too. Short-term treasury bills are still very great in the US if you're in the US, simply because the Fed has refused to buckle down to Trump's pressure and cut rates. So short-term treasury bills are a great place to park cash in if you really don't know what to do and you want to keep it liquid in case you see a massive correction, which is quite possible because a lot of economists, learned thinkers, critical thinkers have been sitting and warning about this, that you guys just don't see the immediate short-term burst of goodwill which is getting because of the tariffs into thinking this is sustainable long term. So keep all that in mind as you explore this week coming, and then I'll try and keep you abreast with other newses and developments as they happen during the course of the week. Do join me on Instagram where I do talk about Indian stocks and what I'm doing in the Indian market over there, and especially in what I'm doing with Tiffin Coffee Range investing on a daily basis. Yes, there are days when I'm unable to update, but that is thanks to the amount of work which Anand has forked over to me and traveling and trying to meet some of you, like what I'm doing in Bangalore. Anyway, I hope you had a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. See you again tomorrow, and we'll discuss something more then. Thank you for being with me on Be Rich. We wish you a wonderful evening. Bye.